have two different climate influences in this region. Yeah? Up to the first range, we have the climate influence that comes from the Atlantic. Then, going into the second and the third range, they get the influence from the Pacific. So, it happens that sometimes you come here, maybe it's raining or it's cloudy in the city, and then once you leave the first range, it's sunny. You start seeing that the bed of the river gets narrower and narrower. This is the narrowest part of the Mendoza River. Tunnel, we have this beautiful view, so pay attention in front of the bus. We have this very, very nice view of the lake and the mountains behind. This is an artificial lake on Mendoza River. This is the dam I was telling you, to be used as a reservoir of water for Mendoza. The dam is 120 meters high, and the lake, when it's full, you see it's a little lower, the level now. When it's full, it's between 2 and 4 kilometers wide, and it's 13 kilometers long. As you can see, the vegetation is less and less as we are going up, smaller and smaller. So for this reason, we don't have many animals, but there are a number of animals. Here you can find small wild rabbits. Then going bigger, we have a relative of the American ostrich. We call it choig. It's smaller than the ostrich, and they run very fast. Then we also have pumas. You know the pumas? Then guanacos. But here still too low for condors in the middle of the country. Remember, Argentina is very big but very low population. So this kind of border police is not only in the borders but also in empty areas. There we go. We made it easy. And it's in between the second range over there. Look at the climate there. As I told you, it's way much better. No clouds. And the first range on the right. Yeah? First range on the right, we're living behind the first range, and soon we're getting into the second range over there. Well, the event happened not far from here in the province of Mendoza. Yeah. Remember I told you that the province of Mendoza is very big, it's around 150,000 square kilometers, and it's like half of the size of Italy. So this rugby team, they were coming to play a match in Santiago. They were coming from Montevideo in Uruguay. So they were flying from Montevideo to Santiago, but the weather was pretty bad. So they stopped in Mendoza, they overnight in Mendoza city. And then the day after, well, they needed to go because they thought they were on the Chilean side, but they were on the Argentinian side. They were in the province of Mendoza. So if they walked east, they would arrive to the valleys faster and easier. But they walked west, so they end up in Chile. They crossed the mountains. That was in 71 or 2, I don't remember exactly. Today, near where the accident happened, there is a ski resort. In those days it didn't exist. It's about 20 kilometers from the rest of the plain. The survivors, they still come to visit the place and honor their died friends and families who died right there. The parts of the plain are still there.
Nu är vi på cirka 2000 meters höjd.
And look at the sides of the river, especially that side over there. Can you see it's a wall? It's a perfect wall. That was probably eroded by a glacier. That's why it's so vertical. It looks like artificial, but it's natural. Do you have any idea how tall can that wall be? 50 meters?
200.
200? Well, something in between. It's between 80 and 100 meters. Trains stopped there because there were water tanks to supply the train with water for the steam machine. Yeah. Road. Look at how narrow it was. That was the old road. There was only one way. You were going up in the morning and they were coming down in the afternoon. There was no room for two cars. I'm talking about the 30s, the 40s, in those days.
Bilder så att man kan uppleva det igen.
Part of the third range. Tupungato, you will see it again now on the left. That's Tupungato. 6,500 meters above sea level. Behind that hill over there is Santiago de Chile. Behind that hill. And see it? The one with the snow? There is a cloud on top, unfortunately, so we don't see the summit, but we see most of it. So, if they established some human place in the middle of nowhere, they needed to establish a church near the hotel. So, the church was part of the hotel. And right here is where the water springs. So, the original plan was to take the water from here into the hotel. But the water is so full of minerals that it would have been blocking the pipes in 1 week, so they couldn't make it. So they decided to build the thermal bath of the hotel right where the water springs. Yeah. So the building below the bridge is part of the thermal bath of the hotel, and there was a tunnel connecting this thermal bath with the hotel up there. If you imagine a line in between the thermal bath and the hotel, you can see there are 2 holes over there above the yellow part. Those holes were windows for the tunnel connecting the thermal bath with the thermal hotel. So people was coming from the hotel into the thermal, but through the tunnel. They didn't need to go out in the cold. Get into the viewpoint of the Aconcagua. It's between 300 and 400 meters deep. So imagine the size of the hill if you compare with the size of that glacier. Yeah. So the idea now is to drop off the bus. We're going to have a quick stop here, so you can take a picture, a group picture as well, and then we keep going into the border, which is not too far from here. Yep.
Hola mi viejo. De nada. 600.
Claro, te doy 20 pesos. Si querés.
Chao viejo, suerte.
Ah, no, tiene lugares acá. International Tunnel. The name of the tunnel is Jesus the Redeemer, Cristo Redentor, and we are 3,200 meters above sea level, so it's 3 kilometers long. There we go. You can see ahead, Argentinian crest, Chilean crest right away. we are going to stop here. We are not really allowed to do this, but you can drop off the bus, go to the edge, don't jump, please. But you can, not today. and you can take the pictures. If you don't feel like you don't.
Que sirven los ojos como yo.
Yeah, the driver said that he's a little scared, so he's closed. He just closed his eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do the same.
Ahí vas. Like the horses.
Yeah, exactly like the whole probar, no sé qué hacer. 5 more minutes or so. You will see here on the left a monument to the first battle of the Andes army. This was the first victory of San Martin. Here on the left, this is the monument to the Battle of Chacabuco. This is the name of this area. So this was the first battle of San Martin in Chilean territory. It was a victory, of course.
Around a third of the population in the whole country, around 18.5 million inhabitants, and a very big amount of immigrants right now, especially from Central America. The last 5 years has been strongly from Venezuela, and then also nowadays a very big group from Colombia. We will notice tomorrow, especially when we walk around the city, in the city tour, that in many places we can hear more than the Chilean accent, we will hear the Central American accent. So it's also the strong winds that we have closer by the shore. And one of the biggest forest fires that actually extended for several regions took place the year 2016. And the fire just couldn't be controlled, as many of the property owners in this area, when we were going through one of the harshest moments of our drive, didn't want the firefighters to access their water supply, like for a plan for the reconstruction of the city after the big earthquake in 1906 that damaged not only Casablanca but made many of the older construction in the city of Valparaiso falling down and destroyed much of the old municipality was founded during the second half of the 19th century as the main municipality, where they started to organize a little bit more the development of the city and the different services. But still, most of the time what we can see is that this area just keeps developing according to the different neighborhoods that are established themselves further up the hills in what we know as domas, or the taking over land. And the one that we just passed past is the only public one that we have in this area of El Plan. But normally we can find the smaller public schools close by the different neighborhoods. Of course, again, the quality will depend on the budget of each area. Cultural activities that takes place during the whole year using all the public squares and parks available. We have several theater festivals and dance festivals, and every year one of the main attractions for people that likes maybe more adventure and speed is the Red Bull ride downhill of mountain bicycles. And well, today, if you're interested, you can find many of the rides in YouTube, and how they just ride down the staircases and very narrow and steep streets. Maybe you heard about the condor in Argentina, a big vulture that lives over the mountain range, and the characteristic is the very big wings. We can see that this one have very short wings in comparison to the real condor that can have wings over 2 meters wide. So local people used to call it the chicken of Valparaiso, actually, of the France Avenue.
As you can see, it's not really a big place, but it's very, very important. We are right now in front also of the main port of Valparaiso. To the left side, as you can see, the blue structure are all the area of the port, and that is the main reason why we have to have the Curauma area for all the storage. As you can notice, there is no room for any containers or big amount of cargo in this place. If you're having, for example, your phone or cameras, if you can show me with this little band, always have it around your neck or around your wrist. The idea is to make it more difficult and to make people aware that you know that they are dangerous all around us, okay? So always aware about our belongings. So let us keep walking. In case somebody needs to use the restroom, because this will be the opportunity to using restroom.
Tagit sig där under trappan.
Och då är det.
Ja, någon som inte vill betala. Är det någon som går i trappan? Oops.
The name of this hill actually came from the first British population established themselves in Valparaiso, and it was named after the Mount Pleasant in the UK. Most of the people local people actually used to have a different history or a different theory of the name of this hill. The local people used to explain the name by saying that when the first sailors came into the port, or the just recent port of Valparaiso, all the different canteens and bars were located over this hill. Big staircase that we can walk down, or those that prefer can just go around the building, okay? So let us walk over here, and we will have the chance to see what the locals used to call as the lying or deceiving houses. Best places in Valparaiso, actually. We are a little short of time.
We're at the beginning of the alley.
This area where we have the more newer part of the history with, for example, the colectivos, the shared taxis that we have all over, or the flies of Valparaiso. We have Michelle Bachelet that is holding what is supposed to be a handkerchief, but it's also representing the underwear. And Michelle Bachelet was the first female president in South America, hamburgers, and then it became very popular. We have also here how the different mine explosions are just taking over all the resources. We can see also the agriculture and how everything goes out to export. We can see here a little bit back in time how the different rural activities of the countryside tradition are fighting a little bit with the current production of wine, known as the AFP, or the Administradoras de Fondos de Pensiones, or in English, Pension Fund Administration Companies. And you can see here a lady represented over a wheelchair because it represents the result of this new system that was implemented during the 80s to have all individual savings. So whatever you can save during your working life is what you can find for a pension when you retire. And today the promise of having people retiring with the same level of income that they have in the last salary is absolutely not met, and many of them is kind of doomed to become very poor. See here the self-nom that I was mentioning, that are the native Indians to the very south. They were also known originally as Patagones because the Spaniards, when they were sailing through the Cape Horn to reach, of course, then the North American continent, they couldn't believe that there were any people or any creature living so far south with so harsh condition, only ice everywhere, very cold. And they could see, when they stepped out the little boat, they could see big footsteps. So they imagined that it was a big, maybe a monster or something with big foot. So they call it the Patagones, the inhabitant with big foot. So that's why the name. And you can see how it's represented here with a few of the limbs cut because of the action of the conqueror.
Han behöver inte åka med själv. Han kan inte bry sig. Det är linorna det hänger på.
Ja, tänk på det nu. Så släpp inte taget.
Så visst, vi är tyngre än de som kommer upp. Så är det lite fort.
Ja.
Det går bra. Där står det Palestina.
Ja.
Kan du bara slänga över lite på. Ja just det, men han hann inte riktigt med så jag missade att beställa sås. Du skulle han hämta det.
Jag hade förväntat, jag tyckte att jag läste också någonting att det kom på typ av potatis.
Ja, potatis beställer man bestämt.
Jag har skurit det.
Men du har skurit.
inte Darwin som åkte till påsken?
5 hours to Eastern Island.
Darwin var på Galapagos.
Men du vet, om du kollar nyheterna nu så är det något nytt om...
Already tell we are back in Santiago right now. We have to our right the Mapocho River, and in this occasion across the river we can also see the only children hospital here at the west part of Santiago. Some of the things that are very important at the Yungay neighborhood is, for example, one of the most modern and one of the best museums that we have today at the West, that is known as the Human Rights Museum, also known as the Memory Museum. And Vita Kura means the big rock. Vita will be big and Kura means a rock. We are continuing to drive through Vita Kura, and well, we will recognize a few brands of restaurants and the fast food that we find everywhere, like for example by the next traffic light where we will see across to the left Wendy's, for example, also in this point called Juniors. So we have a lot of influence, especially from North American brands. Anderna was very strongly damaged. People during the manifestation actually just climbed over the horse and so on. There was a few days where they tried to take it down, you know, just by using the force. Because Baquedano, just as many other monuments that we have, represent generals that fought in the war against Peru and Bolivia, but at the same time they were very mean against the local native inhabitants. This last week for most of the public servants, and you can see how people organize. In this case are all the trash or the garbage trucks that are organizing right now in the different unions. If we look at this map, has to be turned around a little bit because we have the Mapocho River that is on the north, behind these buildings a few blocks to the north, coming from the mountain range of the Andes to the east area and then ending by the mountain range of the coast that we passed by yesterday. So we turn this around and we have the Mapocho River.
Monica, ska du köpa?
Ja, jag tänkte det.
Du, jag såg det inte på gymmet på morgonen.
täppor.
Du sa ju att det skulle bli.
Se quería arrancar. Se le perdió el marido. Se fue el esposo. No, 6.000. 5. No, 1.000 pesos.
Huesillo, and it's really cooked wheat. We can see it right here. It's cooked wheat that you serve with the juice of previously dried peaches that you cook again, and as a result you get a very sweet juice. They serve it very fresh, so during the hot summer days when you have to be running, people normally replace the lunch with an empanada, and then you have it with the mote con huesillo. And you can see that they have different sizes. Normally when the whole family wants to have, they bring a big jar back home, but you can also buy it dry and cook it at home, or you can buy it cooked in bigger quantities in many of the markets. Let's walk across as soon as we get the green light. That is in honor, of course, of Leonard Henriksen. This was a Swedish cameraman. And today we have in YouTube available the image that he could capture.
What's up?
Production. Then it became part of the presidential activity, and it functioned as the residency of the president for a few years, about to the beginning of the 20th century, around the 1940s. It functions as a residency, and then today we just keep it as the offices for the government. The different presidents democratically elected in South America, and that was the main reason why they started to plan the coup. Not only with the more accommodated entrepreneurs in our country that normally are also part of the colonial families that were owning much of the land. Allende that was feeling a little bit of the sensation in the air, you know, of people that were not really happy. We have to remember that there was a lot of economical blockage in this book that have all the resume of the different people that went through different torture centers or tortures or even were disappeared. Today we know with all the different research worldwide after a situation like we went through in the country, that it affected several generations, even to the third generation after the ones that were directly affected. So of course we have to kind of multiply it for many more. Even there are many of the generation nowadays that are coming, you know, new kids 5 years old or less than that, that kind of have the responsibility of keeping the memory alive. So it's kind of a little bit of a burden that they don't ask for, but it's almost mandatory because of moral reasons. If we look behind the fences right over there, we can see a type of painting that is very similar to what we could see a little bit of in Valparaiso, especially when we went down the funicular to the bus. This is the typical style that was inspired in the street art of Mexico after the Civil War in Mexico, and then we adopted a little bit of the style. And then it became very important in a country during the 60s when we had the campaign for senator of Pablo Neruda, that was also a left-wing politic. He was an active communist. And because people couldn't read and write properly, there was a big group of painters and street artists that decided to get together and form what we know as the Brigada Ramona Parra.
We are very soon going to reach one of the main avenues of this area of Santiago that we know as the Matucana. It's a very big avenue that crosses all the way to our left, that will be to the south area, and reaches the main avenue that in this area connects with the main train station that we know as Estación Central.
Ja, det är översta våningen på hotellet, 15:e våningen. Poolen är ju kall, säger de som har varit i. Var en bra resa.
Ja, absolut.
Och nu ska vi upp i Sydamerikas högsta hus.
Sen skulle jag ner där. Nu gick det för långt.
Nej, det har jag. Det ska ner här nu.
Yes, yes.
Is it water?
Ja, men du får inte ställa först.
The leader?
Sweden.
Okay, Sweden. Okay, sorry.
Kolla.
Det är du värd.
Pilot och...
Nej, vi tog en av
Ser bra ut, Niklas.
Vad är det här med salsa? Salsa. Ja. Oye,
vilken jätteaffär.
Eller hur?
Atención estimados clientes, le informamos que estamos en cierre total de cajas. Sugerimos registrar su mercadería a la brevedad posible. J7, sector cajas.
Está Guillermo. Ya, listo. Avísenme el nombre, yo llevando lo busco. Ya, ok, gracias.
Ja, då är det utcheckning, Monica.
Vad säger du?
Då är det utcheckning.
Ja, fy fan.
Är du nöjd med resan?
Jag är väldigt nöjd med resan. Otroligt nöjd. Mm.
Det är deltagarna som gör resan.
Eller hur,
brukar jag
Petter?
säga.
Ja, ja.
What I can recommend is that you do like, if you are doing the printout in the machine, and then you directly go to the counter and say it didn't function, okay? And then they have to help you directly by the counter. And that happens a lot of time. I've heard that there was somebody that only could find the reserve for one of the two that are traveling together. No problem, that happens a lot.
Lo dimos.